Hello and welcome to Phoenix Legends or Phoenix Legions. We're having all kinds of issues tonight. I am not Ryan. I am Art of the Icky, and I am filling in for Ryan with the lovely Nadine. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. And we've also got another special guest with us tonight, Mr. Rogue Disney. How you doing, Tom?
Good. How is everyone else? Just happy to be here.
Yeah, glad you could be here. Me and Tom have got the
someone from the
same lighting going on. I just realized. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
From Florida. We got a lot of Florida talk tonight. Our good buddy Ryan is on a little mini vacation. He's gonna go do WrestleMania with some family. So, I'm filling in tonight. Or as I like to
maybe
say,
he'll make a guest appearance.
Yeah, or as I've been telling him all.
Suit.
What's that?
Did he take his suit?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say the wrestling suit. I don't know. I don't know if you're allowed to cosplay at WrestleMania or not.
I would say probably. Yeah, you could.
There's enough spandex in there. The guests don't need to have it on too.
Yeah.
Well, ever since he asked me and I said I would co-host, I've been telling him this all week.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
I thought you were going to say you would be wearing a spandex, but no. I guess.
No, not at all. I'm just glad I didn't have to do the hot sauce pitch. So that was the only thing I was worried about. I'm hoping you guys are both having a good evening. Kind of sounds like we all did the same thing. We were trying to eat before we got online tonight. So hopefully everybody had a good dinner.
I made some Salisbury steaks.
I had homemade tuna fritters.
Ooh. I do also make my own Salisbury steaks. I don't buy them. I don't like the frozen ones.
So you raised the cow and
I do. I do. I had to perform the rituals and do all that I got here at 7:00, so I had to do it in like.
Why am I picturing Twister now and Meg? Yo, you saw the obese Meg? Oh,
you sure got a lot of beef. See all my cows? No, there you go.
Oh my god!
Ow! Sorry, my dog's up here. It just bit my hand.
That's okay. I just gotta mute myself for 1 second because I forgot something.
No problem.
Dogs should not bite the hand that feed you.
Well, he's play biting me. Be quiet.
What happened?
See, I'm just like Rogue. Instead of a cat, I've got a dog. Annoying me.
I have a dog too.
Yeah.
She's right here.
You
mean Ro?
Yeah, Ro.
There's too many.
There's too many R words here. R2, Rogue, Ro. Just like Ryan. Who's got his cat bugging everybody. We got quite a bit of Florida to talk about in our topics tonight.
Okay.
And
baby.
Okay.
But one of the first things we'll go over is we were going to discuss, and I know Nadine watched it. I think you've seen this, Tom, but we're going to talk about Turning Red.
Ah, yes. Well, I guess I turned red already.
Yeah. Nadine, did you get to watch this?
Yeah, I think last weekend, maybe.
Okay.
I know it was recent. It was just a couple days ago, pretty much. So my son kept bugging me to watch it, and then I'm like, yes, we will, yes, we will, yes, we will. And then my daughter was like, I already saw it, and I'm like, I didn't. So we went the other day.
I think I watched about half of it, and I had to turn it off. And
I watched it on double speed.
And not for any I was outraged by anything. I just the girls are obnoxious, It's just like every time they're together, it's like a little much. I'm like, this is just not for me.
That is what 13-year-old girls are like.
I realize that too. I totally realize it. This movie was not made for me.
My issue is more animation style. I just can't get behind that Steven Universe look like that. It's just not an animation style, and Pixar has been going this way a little bit more frequently lately, going towards more ill-defined characters a little bit. And I think they had in the Lasseter era, they definitely had a more unique. Each individual film had a connective tissue, but a very unique art style. And now recently, a lot of them have seemed to be very replicative. Like the art style, like you look at this in Soul, and you can tell it's the same studio.
I see
Like
what the missus said.
What?
No, the missus said that's what I told him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We were talking about that. Yeah, she's already correcting me with you meant Ryan. Yes, I meant Ryan. Getting tongue tied tonight. So yeah. I mean, for the fact I couldn't finish it, it wasn't like I said, I was outraged. It just wasn't for me.
It just didn't.
Yeah. I do kind of feel like that this seemed to be very similar to Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it just didn't have kind of the same charm to it, I guess. And, Inside Out, even though the main character is a girl, that's something that definitely a lot of people can relate to. It's not just geared towards being a girl, where this seemed to be. I mean, this was very much geared towards
girls.
Towards girls. The animation isn't necessarily bad. I mean,
I didn't say the animation was bad. I was just saying the style.
But the style, yes, I will agree. Like, it doesn't feel very Disney when I watch it, or what I watched of it. And everybody just, looks so similar. Are all the girls very much in their style and build are all very similar. They're all kind of frumpy. I mean, I hate saying that, but that's how I felt like
that's what I was like when I was 13.
Threw them all, but overly, like all of them,
Well, they are caricatures, right? They're trying to make them outlandish to be archetypes, I guess.
Yeah,
but they're also their whole group isn't, the popular girls, or you know what I mean? Like they're all like hanging out, and they have each other.
There's nothing wrong with that, but they all looked like caricatures of Rose Tico.
That is.
I mean,
you're wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Listen, I spread my knowledge out on things, so I don't ever focus on just like one thing. So
no,
the adults, were far more distinct from each other than the girls.
Do you think this would have been a better story if it focused on actually the mother instead of because it seemed like the end of this was more about the mother getting past a trauma than necessarily the daughter.
Well, I didn't finish it, so I don't know on that one. But I will admit that the film was always better when it was the mom and the daughter interacting than her with all of her friends.
I think the friends things were just kind of put into merch.
Sure.
But I agree that Inside Out it's a similar topic. And also, if you think about like 16 Candles or any of those 80s John Hughes films, they cover all of this without having any type of oddness to it. And there's some oddness to some of the story in this film, like in terms of how the characters are, I guess, lusting a little bit.
Yeah. Hey,
no, but that's the thing. It's like that's what happened. Do you mean like the kid in the store?
Yeah. Keep talking. I'm gonna be right back. Hang on.
Okay. You mean like the guy in the convenience store?
Well, I mean, like, yeah, kind of. I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's the writing a little bit. It just seems like they're a little bit too overblown for what they're trying to do. Like the characters are a little like they're dialed to 11 a little bit. And I think if they toned it back down a little bit, the characters would be less, not annoying, but more endearing.
13-year-old girls are annoying. Like
I wouldn't. It's been a while since I've been around 13-year-old girls, so
I think like the thing is too, just I resonated with it like so much, just because like I was like, oh my god, like this is how like me and my friends were, like we were always like the oddballs, and I kind of got into I didn't someone commented on one of my posts on Twitter because I said about it, and then like he was just like going off like, well, this is wrong and that's wrong and this wrong and whatever. And then I'm just like, well, but personally, like, oh, and he was saying about like how it seemed like it seemed to go away from family and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, but you got to understand, like, not everybody has a good family. Like, not every kid has a family. Like, granted, was May's family a good family? Absolutely. But then there also comes a time where, like, in your life, when you're like 13 years old, where like you're not going to tell your mom that you're like, you think that the 17-year-old kid at the convenience store is hot, and so like it just, the whole thing, I was just like, I'm gonna cry.
I get that. I actually endeared with the father in this the whole time. Like, I felt for him because he just kind of seemed. I don't like they wrote him very well, and they wrote him as like a nurturing father, but they also kind of wrote him as a little bit of a beta.
They kind of they kind of did that one. That's one thing that it was more like,
I kind of wish he was a little bit like, you could tell he's the one that's understanding everything. He's the one who's trying to be the emotional support for his family. And I kind of wish they gave him a little bit less of a, because
that's
sometimes it's a rare thing, but sometimes I don't, at least in media, daughters do confide in the father more so than the mother. Sometimes it's just something that happens. And that seemed, obviously with May, she had a little bit of a better relationship with her father.
Right.
And I just wish that they gave him a little bit more.
They kind of made him a little too bumbling.
Yeah, and that's a Disney thing. If you look at any like sitcom father on ABC, most of the time they are not, like, the mother's the one that's keeping the family together, and the father's a little bit more of the bumbling idiot, like Modern Family or any of those things. So that's a Disney trait in all of their content as of late. So that was the thing. At least in Inside Out, I think the father and the mother had a better family dynamic set up. And I think that was one thing that I wish this was to be more fulfilled or more like whole of a film. I think that would have been a nicer dynamic to have, because I kind of felt bad for the like, I was watching this, it's like if I was a father, I'm like, oh god, I don't want to do this.
I kind
turn
of
around now
feel, though, too, like I don't know like how much research had been done by Disney by bringing in, because you also have to remember that you're talking about an Asian family. So, her mom is basically like a tiger mom.
Yeah, and so, I think, but I don't know necessarily if the father's, because I don't know how to say this without saying,
I understand.
Like, I had neighbors that were Pan-Asian or Pacific Island, and the dad was a beast. Like, the mom was a beast too. Like, both of them took no gumph. So that was my only point. Like, I just think, but that's like, I'm not trying to stereotype.
But that's also then making the dad like a caricature in a way, like, so there's that. I think all in all, I thought it was super cute. Her relationship with her friends was great. I was like so sad when she like threw her friends under the bus in the driveway, and I was like, I get it, because you got to go home with your mom, but then on the same hands, like, your friends are the ones that are there for you, and then you just like threw them under the bus. So that sucked, but at least they made up at the end.
So one of the things that was kind of noted to me in preparation of this was, there's a little bit of, kind of controversy with the theming of this movie too, and the symbolism, being that this is all one big metaphor for menstruation. Now, watching it, I mean, all there that I saw, and like I said, I only watched half of it, but there was just when she first turns into the panda, there was a moment of the mom was like, "Oh, did this happen? She's starting to do that." And that was it. So I would definitely say, at least from what I saw, that seemed to maybe be a little overblown. It is an odd thing I go for a Disney movie, because even though it's all 13-year-old girls, this is definitely more, though, I feel like this is made for younger children. So it's kind of an odd thing for me, in my opinion, to see that in a Disney cartoon. This seems more like this would be something more akin to, you would see like a live action, perhaps, where they'd actually had older kids in it.
But I also think like it happens. It's a part of.
I get that. I'm just saying for what it is. That seems odd to me.
It's odd to be targeting towards like a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old, possibly.
But I don't know. Like, I knew about that stuff when I was 5. You know what I mean? Like, literally 6 years from now, or so, 6 to 8 years from now, like, this is gonna happen. Like, you go to the bathroom with your mother.
I think me and Archie are thinking from the idea of having sons or something like that.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of this like a general across the board, like of all kids, because not all kids would know that. I get what Nadine's saying though too, because from a young age, I'll give the example of like not the process, but I knew where babies came from. I mean, I knew it took a mom and a dad.
Right.
Baby came out of mom.
It wasn't like
I knew that.
Oh,
yeah.
Brought him.
Yeah, and knew that it came out down there too, by the way. And so, but at the same time, not all kids knew that. So that's where I just say it for, something that is, this is, for, everybody, that's where I go. It seems strange to be in a cartoon because, again, most of the cartoons, even though our characters are in fact teenagers, because that's a big part of it. In the beginning, she's like, "I'm 13. I'm basically an adult," and she's boasting about having her bus pass, and still more younger kids are going to be watching this. So that's where, for some people who may not want to have that conversation yet with their young one, but at the same time, they don't actually say the word. At least from what I remember, they don't say menstruation or period.
No,
they
don't.
Some kids
there is a scene with the mom.
At the same time.
Out and like that's it. And then when she takes him to school, though.
And as being a guy, I'm sure Tom could go. This is like one thing. Like most guys don't ever want to.
But you have to think about it.
But I also, if I had sons, I would not let them watch this until a certain age.
You have to think about it this way, though, too, where like I don't watch regular TV now. Anyone who watches regular TV, if it was during the day, so during the morning, talk shows and stuff like that, what are you seeing? Pad commercials, tampon commercials. They're dumping the blue liquid on everything. They're talking about it. And then later on at night, after 7 p.m., they're putting those same commercials on too. So, I mean, as a kid, you're seeing those anyway.
Not on kid-oriented channels, I don't think.
Yeah, but even still, like, it's not kid-oriented channels.
Regular TV, right?
Kids are watching, like, when I went over to my grandmother's house, I had to watch soaps because that's what they had on. They weren't like, hey, you could watch whatever you want. It was like, hell no, my shows are on. I'm watching this. And then I had to see when you're 6 years old sitting there and there's steamy love scenes going on back in the 80s and your grandmother's sitting there and you're uncomfortable with these two people on like a bear rug. So, like,
I think kids are probably happy now that they're probably sitting there with their own iPad watching Minecraft.
Right.
Yeah, well, nowadays kids can see
they don't have to go through that.
A lot worse things than people with perms getting it on a bear rug.
At 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Lunchtime. When your grandma's there.
But, too, Nadine also has a point. Like, I don't watch a lot of regular TV myself these days. But, I mean, I saw tampon commercials growing up, and I didn't just watch, Nickelodeon. I mean,
I was watching USA Up All Night. When
I kind of just always thought women couldn't hold their bladder.
But, like, if you watched MTV, right? I mean, those were, in the evening, you would see commercials like that. I mean, I'm sure when watching sitcoms with my parents too, during the
That's
week.
what sitcoms at night when you watch it with your parents.
Yeah, those things popped up too. But again, it's still, it's subtle. I mean, if you don't necessarily know what it is, you don't know what it is. Like Tom said, you're like, why are women peeing blue? So,
I also think it probably actually did a disservice coming after Encanto, because I think both of them are generational family stories. I think Encanto kind of did that alienated generational family story a little bit better than Turning Red did. Like, they're both similar subject matter.
I haven't seen the whole thing of Encanto. I know my children have watched it plenty of times and I've heard all of the music, but I haven't watched the whole thing.
I haven't watched it yet either. But
I don't know, like we started watching it and then it just didn't like draw me in. So I'm like, I just gotta sit there and like try watching it.
My son watched it and liked it. He watched Turning Red. He liked it too. I've got a little niece in California. The wife was actually talking to her, and every time, she calls on FaceTime, she's always talking about Encanto. So
she's talking about Bruno.
I don't know Bruno, but she always mentions watching Encanto.
No.
I always find too, like if a Disney movie will come out and I'll be like, that just doesn't look like something that I'd want to watch. And then anytime I think that, I absolutely love the movie. Like when Big Hero 6 came out, I was like, I don't know about this. And then I saw it and I was like crying my eyes out. And
Where is the sequel? Where is the sequel?
Yeah, like what is going on here?
Well, Disney doesn't like doing sequels to the, like, as I would call it, like the boy properties. Like Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph. Those were like,
well, they did a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, but that was not good.
Yeah, it was okay, but it wasn't.
It didn't have the same charm as the first one.
Yeah, it was missing the heart of it, and I didn't like what they did with the Penelope character, making her like abandon her friend, and like, because I always thought that their relationship, they were just friends, not like father-daughter type thing. I guess they were trying to make it more like a father-daughter thing in the second movie, and I'm like, no, that kind of just like you had a really good friend, and you left that friend for another friend that was fancier, and you're. Like, it just seemed like a weird toxic relationship allegory.
Also what teenage girls do, though.
Yeah. Trying to think, though, of like the most recent Disney films. I think the last one that I saw that I liked was Moana.
Moana was really good.
I was actually a fan of Onward. I didn't
watch that one.
We saw that one, but I don't like remember it much.
I like it because of the concept. It's about two brothers trying to get their last message from their father, or spend some time with deceased father, and it's just sort of like, I have a brother, I have a deceased father. It's kind of like in the wheelhouse of around personal types of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was sort of something that could connected more so than 13-year-old girls turning into pandas.
Yeah.
So I would love to turn into a panda. That sounds amazing.
A red panda. Giant red panda. I don't know why the mom was so big. We were talking about that, and they were like, the dad was like, she was big. And then we see it, and I was like, why is she that big?
I'm glad no one heard my joke.
Dramatic effect. Well, I was gonna say, are we good?
I think we're read out.
I meant to mention this earlier, but so before we get on, I am going to throw something in the chat and highlight that if I can.
Oh, is this for Drew?
Yeah. So we, me, Tom, Ryan, Maria, we have a good friend, Drew, who has his own channel. It's Supreme Heretic. He also is a writer contributor to Bounding into Comics. Last week he lost his mom, and I believe to cancer, and he's got to give send go. He's trying to get some money together to kind of give her a proper burial, and we're just trying to share this out with everybody. It's extremely tough for a lot of people right now, with the inflation and everything. Money is very tight for all of us. But, if you're able to even just contribute $1, it helps. helps him out. So yeah, we're just trying to share this and just get it out there for him, because he's a real good friend of ours. He's a good guy. He's done a lot for a lot of us in the community. So we love him. We want to support him as much as we can. So I wanted to share that out there, to where you can donate if you're able to. Do we want to keep talking about Florida? Do we want to change things up?
What?
Oh, I mean Disney, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, we got we still got a lot of Disney, but we could take a little break from Disney and talk some other things. We could either get into the Oscars and then go back into Disney.
We could.
Okay,
why not talk about some, I guess, domestic violence?
Well, we're gonna talk about the Academy Awards and what happened. What was it?
I do know there was a terrible performance of "We Don't Talk About Bruno."
Oh,
yeah. Is that from?
I
Is that
tried
from
to watch it, but I
Encanto?
don't have regular TV.
Paulie Latino Slant was complaining about it earlier on Midnight's Edge. Like it was like they were fumbling over it. Like they didn't do the performance well.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't watch any of the Oscars until I forget what I was watching. They're like, oh God, they're like, Will Smith just slapped Chris Rock, and then immediately everybody jumped off to watch what happened.
I tried like hell to watch it, and I couldn't get it. It's like, oh, get YouTube TV, you could watch it for free. Nope, it's locked. Get Hulu for free, you could watch it. Nope, it's locked. And I'm like, well, I can't watch it, and I was mad.
I didn't bother. I think I was at a theme park.
Well, I mean, essentially, if you went on Twitter, you got to see it happen, because everybody had clips of it. But yeah, there's been quite a bit of information that's come out. Still, I go whether or not this, and I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, but right, even like the question of was it truly staged just to get people talking about the Oscars or not. But we've got an article here that says the LAPD was ready to arrest Will Smith, and essentially, went directly to Chris Rock and were like, "Hey, if you want to press charges, and we will go and slap the cuffs on him and take him away." NPR actually interviewed a producer of the show. I don't think it's this gentleman here. Or maybe it is, that I couldn't tell, but he was with the police when they were speaking with Chris Rock, and Chris Rock was just like, no, don't want to do it, and passed on it. But there's definitely a lot of people too that are just very upset about this, and the fact that he did it, and he hasn't really gotten in trouble for it. People are talking about, he needs to have his Oscar taken away.
What did he win it for? I'm just curious because I haven't watched anything for a while.
Well, I want to say it was Best Actor, and it's for this. Is it King Richard?
Like,
it's the story of Serena and Venus's dad. That's who he played.
Okay. I'm not a big sports person, so I wouldn't have.
I didn't watch the film. I mean, I heard of it, but I didn't watch it myself. How about you, Nadine? Did you see this at all?
I haven't. I didn't even know it was made. And then I was like, oh, when I saw his speech and he mentioned about Venus and Serena and the actresses that played them, and I was like, oh, that's what this movie is about. I had no idea.
Why does I feel like that's every Best Picture and Best Actor type of thing? I've never heard of this film.
Yeah, a lot of times, but it's also I just haven't been paying attention either, because just a lot of things really, they don't seem to be jumping out to get excited about for the past 3 years. Except Secrets of Dumbledore. So. Well, I'm excited for that.
That's. I
Isn't
feel
that
like
a video game?
That's been a
Is that the new video game?
No,
The
no,
Harry Potter one?
that's the next Harry Potter film. Well, it's not Harry
In the
Potter. It's
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts
Secrets of
series.
Dumbledore. That sounds
Uh,
like something that could be on a different type of service besides
Well,
HBO Max.
they were working on a Harry Potter game, and I think that got canceled when they canceled the head guy, developer of it. I was gonna say
that's
definitely
still
though,
coming out. Harry Potter
Oh, is it?
Legacy.
Well, I was gonna say that definitely seems to be a very common thing these days with the Oscars. I mean, there's just so many films that get nominated and are awarded, and I feel like for a lot of people, they're just like, I have never heard of this film. I think that's definitely a contributing factor to the low ratings of the Oscars, among other things.
I just wanted to see it for the dresses. Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter if I don't know what's going on. I just love award shows. I have always loved award shows. I would watch every single one when I was a kid, and nobody else would watch them with me, and I would just sit there by myself and like enjoy my time and just watch them.
I loved back in the day the MTV Music and Movie Awards. They were fun.
Those were good. You know what ones were good too? The American Music Awards. Those ones were always really good.
Yeah. Real quick, just want to say hello to our good friend JT.
Hello.
Hi, JT.
Thank you, JT, for coming by. Ryan's got a pretty fancy setup with we're streaming on Facebook, we're streaming on Twitch, we are streaming on Twitter.
Oh, he did the full blown StreamYards.
I know. I think even
no matter where you go, you're gonna find us.
Yeah. There's
we will find you.
There's another icon up here that I don't know what it is. It looks like a Nintendo DS.
For Harry Potter games?
No. I can see all the channels. I can see the face. The blue
because you were talking about Harry Potter game. I was gonna say I remember when I had the game for Game Boy Color, and it was hard as hell, and I never beat it.
I remember now the last time I watched the Oscars when Hugh Jackman hosted. That's the same time when Heath Ledger was up for Best Supporting.
Okay, well that
was the last time because of Hugh Jackman hosting.
2009,
and that was a great opening bit. Those were great when Billy Crystal did them back in the day. Like those were the reason to watch. They need to get back to that. I'm sure Billy Crystal's doing nothing.
Something else that kind of occurred just before we had started too that goes with the story is Will Smith did in fact resign from the Academy and says he will accept further consequences, which definitely leans more towards that this wasn't probably staged.
So what does that mean? He resigned from the Academy? Like he can't be nominated ever?
Yeah. If you're not part of the Academy, you can't be nominated for it.
He won't leave the Actors Guild because I don't think he could act then.
Yeah,
so he's still being SAG.
Yeah. You do have to be part of that to be an actor, but to be nominated for an Academy Award, you have to be part of the Academy. I guess it's all up to
the powers that be there.
JT says Cheer 10 doesn't work here. No, it doesn't. I'm not sure if this is what he was doing over on Twitch, if those are cheers or he just was being silly. But I guess what's your guys' opinions if you have any on? Do you think he should have his Oscar taken away?
No, it has nothing to do with it.
It has nothing to do with the Oscar and the acting, but I also think it's a poor. He should. I don't think resigning shows that much more, actual guilt behind this. And the fact that he laughed and the fact that he did the same joke like 20 years earlier on Arsenio Hall tells you that this was him sort of playing a part almost. Like, when Jada looked at him and he's like, you're going to do something.
Yeah.
And anyone that's married knows that look of like, you mean that's that look like, really? So I just feel like, I don't know if I resigned. Oh, wait, well, I already got my Oscar. I've resigned. I don't need to worry anymore. Like, that's sort of where I come from. Like, well, yeah, you know what? If you feel sorry about it and you feel that it's a stain upon the Academy, then return it.
Well, I hope that never happens with Mrs. R2 because I won't slap the guy. I'll punch him and I'll end up in jail. Well, kind of something a lot of people are talking about is, one, he did this, live in front of all these people. He did technically assault Chris Rock. So, based on such poor behavior, he should have his Oscar taken away. Other people are also arguing too that, well, if you're going to, why would you take it away for that when the Academy has given awards to people who have done far worse things? Harvey Weinstein, Roman Polanski. And I would even say the Roman Polanski one is far the most, outrageous one, for the fact that when he got it, I mean, in fact, he had gotten a couple from when he raped a 13-year-old girl. And everybody knew he did, and he left the country for it.
Right.
Fled the country. I mean, I would almost say, well, if you're going to take Will's away, then you need to take those away or strike them from the record and essentially make them, worthless. That, for that fact.
The only difference is that those didn't actually happen in the award.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the argument too with Will Smith is, the thing that makes it the most outrageous is that he did this, essentially on TV in front of everybody. It would be a little different if it was backstage and he smacked him, but nobody saw it, or at least nobody recorded it. It wasn't being live. It was just an altercation that had occurred.
I think you don't want to say because if you don't give enough of a penalty to him, it's sort of like saying to a bunch of people that, hey, guess what? Physicality is completely okay. Go ahead and go and
if somebody
beat that person up for a word.
If somebody says something that you don't care for, and it's one of those things where you're a celebrity, you're in the spotlight, you share a lot of info about your personal life. It doesn't mean that it's cool or okay to be picked at or made fun of, but at the same time, living that life, it seems like you should have thick skin. And another interesting thing is we see this kind of nasty look from her, and there's even somebody had showed a video after Will smacked Chris, then she was laughing. So that seems,
I think she was laughing that she got him to do it.
But it looks bad on everybody's part. I almost want to say, and even the Oscars too, just for how badly they handled the situation of it all.
I'm kind of agreeing with you now. The Oscar doesn't need to be taken away, but they need to have some type of criminal. I know Chris Rock doesn't want to press charges, but there needs to be some type of actual penalty for this.
And Chris Rock may decide to do something else too. And it was, maybe just trying not to act rash in the situation. I think out of anybody, he looks the best just because of how he's handled the whole situation. Being the bigger person out of all this. But yeah, or you kind of go you can't be in the Academy anymore. But again, at the end of the day, I kind of don't care about any of this too. I don't know how much you guys feel.
I kind of like Jim Carrey's take on it. I think his take was
what did
kind
he
of
say?
I think he said especially coming from a comedian, a comedian says things to offend. That's the point of a comedian.
Right.
And a comedian should never be assaulted for an offensive remark. And his point is that Will was taking out his own demons, whatever's going on, and he had a release point for it. And I kind of like how Jim Carrey put it. It just was and Jim Carrey's been a little bit out there lately, so that seeing him be so poignant was actually refreshing.
I have not had an opinion on it, but I've seen other people, famous people saying well, where do, comedians, why do they have a pass? it was actually Bethany Frankel I saw on Instagram. She's like, well, why do comedians have a pass to be mean to people and stuff like that? And it's kind of like, but that's always how it's been. So at this point, with this occurring and what has been happening in comedy for how many years, like, does it also reflect on the fact of like the attack on comedians and the attack on comedy in itself, where it kind of even sets it back even farther that, you know, okay, well, now comedians can't say anything at all. You know what I mean?
I agree, because I always found comedians to be like the arbiters of truth. Like, they tell you things that are universal truths in ways that are palatable. Right. And they also point out the absurdity of society and stuff like that. Now, recently, comedians have had a hard time because of this safe space, snowflake type mentality of the younger-ish generation and some of the older, whoever it is. And I agree, that was a symbolic attack. And like, part of me wish Chris Rock would have came back with a one-liner right then.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I think he's just shocked.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, part of me wishes, like,
yeah,
if that was a stand-up and he was doing a show and that happened, he would have probably had a one-liner ready, like, to go or something like that. But I think, I mean, when was the last time you actually saw a funny movie? Like, when was there actually a last good comedy film?
That they're actually really funny.
15 years?
Yeah.
I honestly can't think at the moment.
I mean, and thinking about it too, I kind of think too, like, it seems like, well, why, if Jada always talks about being, you know, a strong woman and standing up for yourself and all of these things, why didn't she say something? I mean, granted, would it be taken sometimes as, you know, oh, here she goes being a crazy woman, but that would happen with every woman. Everybody always says stuff like that. So, you know, I think if she would have just been like, you know, hey, Chris, you know, I have a problem, don't you? Ha ha ha. Be like, I'll meet you backstage, and then leave it at that. Like, I don't know.
I do believe in magic.
Say something and then expected, like, you know, Will to come in and swoop in and do something, when her advocating for how many years about, you know, female empowerment, and now you look at your man like, oh, are you going to do something about this?
Could that be a cultural thing too? I'm not saying otherwise, but could it be a cultural thing? And
possibly.
That, like, I have no plate to say that. Right. I'm just saying it's a possibility in terms of.
It is a possibility. I mean, because he is a man saying that to her, you know, and I've also, you know, and on the same hand, I've also heard, you know, friends who would be in that cultural spectrum also say that, you know, it's a big problem with, like, Black women getting picked on a lot. So, I mean, there's that too. So it's like something that we personally can't really speak on, but on the same hand, there may just also be some underlying things in all of it and revolving around all of them. And you also don't know, you know, is there something between all of them as far as like knowing each other, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that you don't.
I don't know.
There was a prior joke. I forget exactly what it was that Chris Rock had said at 2016 awards. Because I want to say that was kind of the start of, you know, Oscars Too White, and she was protesting it. And I want to say Chris Rock kind of had made a crack, like, you know, she has nothing going on for the awards. So for her to protest these awards is like me saying, like, I ain't going to try and get into, or I'm like, I'm not going to get into like Rihanna's pants or something like that. Like something like he clearly would never be invited to. And you know, that was kind of like the start of this. You know,
like there's a lot of there are so many factors that, like, I don't feel like anyone will ever know exactly, because there are too many factors that make up this one particular incident.
Yeah,
But it did its job a little bit. Everyone's talking about it. Like everyone's talking about the Oscars a little bit, and everyone's talking about.
And everybody's gonna be like, "I want to watch it next year."
It's Oscars.
Yeah, but
meets
not
Jerry
everybody's
Springer.
talking about it in a very good light, though, either. So, and does the
Right.
Oscars want to become like Jerry Springer too?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's supposed to be,
One other thing I kind of want to mention too is supposedly with the Oscars, like everything that is said is approved and rehearsed, and if this joke was approved too.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes things somewhat interesting, and
right
makes
If
you go too, if it was not only was it approved, or did he write this and they approved it, or if they wrote it potentially. I mean,
right, or
someone
did approve it, and then knowing of her condition too, like
and I didn't know of her condition either,
row.
Too, until after all this occurred. But it also makes you go too, like, imagine if somebody else then said it too, like, let's say it wasn't Chris Rock. Let's say The Rock said it. Would Will Smith have gone up there and smacked The Rock?
Or if it was one of the female hosts?
What if it was one of the female hosts that said it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what would have been done? And not only that too, with that joke, she didn't like, but granted, based on the things that have come out about their life, I'm not surprised she didn't get mad by this. But earlier in the show, one of the female hosts made a comment of essentially administering a COVID PCR test with her tongue down Will Smith's mouth, and Jada laughed at it. And so, like, why would that be acceptable and not the other one? That's just very strange. But I know we're kind of getting close to our time limit because we kind of only do about an hour here. So I was going to say, should we move on to our next topic?
We could
back to Disney.
I don't think it's gonna be that long to talk about.
Yeah, Disney in Florida. Here we'll get to this. So I don't know, Nadine, if you've heard about this, but Disney in Florida essentially gets to kind of govern themselves. I mean, sorry that this is not wanting to load up here.
I can talk about it briefly if you want me to while it's loading.
What is this? I don't want any of that. So yeah, they're able to govern themselves essentially because Disney property is the size of San Francisco, and they've got like their own fire department. I don't know if they have I'm assuming their own.
They have their own emergency services. It's paid through Disney. It's a part of the 1964 Reedy Creek Development Act in Florida.
This is why having Tom here was great because he is a Disney encyclopedia. But so yeah, they get this special privilege, but with kind of what's going on with this,
they're also underfunded right now completely. By the way, most of the emergency services.
Yeah. Well, with this parental rights bill in Florida that DeSantis signed, it's to prevent schools from teaching children third grade or younger about sex, and by sex that covers everything. Straight, gay, bi, queer, whatever you want to call it. You can't discuss or teach sex with children that are in grades 3 or younger. There's a lot of people who are mad about this. They call it the Don't Say Gay bill. It doesn't say that anywhere in the bill.
Right.
And, Disney, to my knowledge, has actually contributed to people that have approved this, I want to say. Again, maybe Tom might know a little bit more on that.
Disney, all of the theme parks actually donate to both parties.
Yeah.
Because you want to have friends on whichever winning side wins. So it's sort of... talking about the donations is kind of like any corporation is going to donate to either side. They're playing the odds. Right. So that's kind of not saying approval or dismissal of it. They're just wanting to have someone in their pocket, kind of. Universal played this correctly by staying away. Now, there are theories why things have happened, but I mean, for a family-friendly park and a family-focused park, which had a lot of arrests recently based around employees doing things,
trafficking in underage people.
It's kind of odd that they want to go against a bill that a lot of people on the conservative side are calling the anti-grooming bill, not the parental rights in education. So each side is having their own little concept of the term of it.
Well, kind of with what's going on, Disney has clearly, against this, and DeSantis, simplest way has kind of said, well, for you to decide the politics of the state of Florida, maybe we shouldn't allow you to kind of have some of these special things that we've allowed you to have for so long if you're going to try and dictate what happens in this state when that's, the governor's job, not a corporation's job.
And some of the comments I've seen about this, like, oh, come on, if this happens, Disney won't be able to make things so quickly. I'm like, Universal pumps out attractions in like a year. Don't be talking about like not being able to do something. Oh, they don't get their special tax zone.
Yeah. Well, and kind of with going into this, I've got some other stuff to share here. Kind of another thing that came out, not definitely something I'm sure Disney wanted to come out, but there was a Zoom meeting with the Disney company, and some higher up people kind of spoke up on some agenda things that they have planned.
I wouldn't be surprised that someone in the company wanted this to come out. Because this seems like something that would have not have been leaked from lower level.
I'll put it this way: none of these people talking certainly wanted that. People running this meeting, but this definitely, this was somebody at the company, and there's actually been, I don't know how true it is, but there's been rumors because of this too that a fair amount of employees are quitting, just because it's
some things like that.
It's become, kind of essentially in a way a hostile work environment from the sense of they're so, agenda focused politically that if you don't agree with it, you'll get in trouble. And a lot of people, it's, don't want to work in a place that they have to keep their head down every day on every single thing. There's a lot of people that really just wish Disney would be doing what Universal does and just be neutral on it and just focus on putting out family entertainment and not having an agenda or political backing, especially towards things for little kids. But part of what kind of got leaked out during this meeting was corporate president Carrie Burke, talking about she's a mother of 2 queer children, 1 transgender child and 1 pansexual child. And wanting to increase the amount of the alphabet characters to 50%, along with racial minorities. Nadine and I are parents. I'll have to ask you, Nadine. I've never described my son to anybody as being heterosexual. I don't know if you've ever described your kids like that to anybody when you talk about them. So talking about children's sexuality is a very interesting thing. But we can play some of this clip if you guys would like.
Go for it.
And hopefully everybody can hear it with how I have it set up. So here we go.
The volume's a little low, but
actually, one transgender child and one pansexual child, and also as a leader. And that was the thing that really got me, because I had heard so much from so many of my colleagues over the course of the last couple of weeks, in open forums and through emails and phone conversations. And I feel a responsibility to speak, not just for myself, but for them, to all of us. We had an open forum last week at 20th where, again, the home of really incredible, groundbreaking LGBTQIA stories over the years, where one of our execs stood up and said, we only have a handful of queer leads in our content. And I went, what? That can't be true. And I realized, it actually is true. We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters. in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters, and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me. And I can tell you, it's something that I feel perhaps had this moment not happened, I as a leader and me as my colleagues would not have focused on. And going forward, I certainly will be more so. I know that we will be, and I hope this is a moment where, the 50% of the tears, sorry, are coming. We just don't allow each other to go backwards.
So yeah.
So one remark. So if she's saying they want more gay characters, but they don't want it to be gay stories, wouldn't it just be better just to have a character? Because then, if the character is just a character, like as soon as you implement that element, then doesn't it become somewhat about that? Because you're pointing it out.
Yeah.
It was kind of like a backtrack. It was kind of like, yes, we do want this, but not that way.
I also think this is the lady that I think that's vying for Chapek's job. The way she that's in my opinion, I think they were talking about this somewhere else, but I agree with that opinion that this is definitely someone vying for Chapek's role in November. I think when it's the his vote or the board votes to keep him.
Gotcha. Because don't they do that every 2 years?
Yeah. So my opinion is that the way she basically used her children as a brand, like, oh, I have a blank in a blank, like you said, you never talk about your
and right. Kind of the other thing too is it's one thing to say we would like to have some stories about that, but to increase it to that, essentially just because your kids might be a certain way doesn't mean everybody else's kids are too.
Also that's not like proportionate to the population that we have of those. Like, I could understand, hey, we want to increase it to the appropriate population there is, right, to make the representation equal. All right, that's what, like 2%, 3%. Like, I don't know.
I want to say the other day, I forget where I had heard it, but somebody was saying that it's 1%.
And will those storylines translate to a global market?
Right.
Like, you're
China, India.
There's plenty of countries where, did they bring that up? Like, they're upset that Disney Cruise Line goes to countries that don't, like, that homosexuality is banned. Like, it's a crime.
Well, that's like so many of those companies. We see it every year that, during Pride Month that, certain countries, right, everything becomes a rainbow, but then in other countries that they do a lot of business in too that aren't accepting of it, they certainly don't show that. So, that definitely, right, it's clear that so much of it's just to try and get money, and to show it on one side how great and virtuous they are, and on the other, they're not. We've got some more from that meeting.
That's all right. So I have a theory on this person, and I don't know if I'm correct. But there's a theory. I want to see Nadine's reaction to him.
Yeah, I've not seen this person.
I'm just curious if she agrees. There's a theory, and I don't know if I'm correct on it, but I'll let the video play.
This is Alan March. He's a production coordinator, and he's talking. He says his team is committed to exploring queer stories, promoting trans, bisexual, and gender nonconforming characters. Says kids are getting a lot of this information from the media, and there's a lot of power to that.
All this content's going to kids who don't know any of this, and even if they're in a household like Keith that have supportive parents, they're still getting all of this information from media of what is normal, and there's a lot of power to that, and it just needs to be acknowledged. all this content's going to kids who don't know any of this, and even
sorry.
if they're in
Yeah.
a household,
It's a very short clip.
that have
I'm going to say something, and I think just from the voice alone and the body language, do you think this person is transitioning?
They could be. I kind of thought that too. You know, and that could be too why they're so focused on this.
But what I got from what they said, correct me if I'm wrong, from what they said, it seems like they were saying that media has too much power in telling kids what to do.
They want to do that.
Yeah, they
Oh,
want
because
to
saying
be doing.
They
that-
want to tell your kids what to do.
Right, exactly. But is this person agreeing with that or not agreeing with that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He's agreeing that they want to be able to use this ability to influence
Okay.
children.
Okay. Because I think maybe because it was so short, I couldn't tell. And I was like, wait.
It's a longer clip. I've seen it longer. I think
Okay.
Okay.
it was just
So
gotcha.
he's agreeing to the brainwashing.
this one's the one that probably would personify everything the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was saying I've got to comment to all this, but I'll wait till we get through
Okay.
it all. I can't pronounce her last name, but Latoya, who's an executive producer, she talks
I
about her
don't
not at all
think-
secret gay agenda.
I don't think she's been in the company that long.
Gotcha. And wants to regularly add queerness to children's programming.
It's like I love Disney's content. I grew up watching, all of the classics. They have been a huge, informative part of my life. But at the same time, I worked at small studios most of my career, and I'd heard, you hear whispers. I'd heard things like, they won't let you show this on a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard on my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA. The showrunners were super welcoming. Meredith Roberts and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last they're turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background to start, I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud though. But I just was no one would stop me and no one was trying to stop me.
All right.
I don't how these people use these verbs. I don't know if verbs is the right word. Just these terms, when she was my secret gay agenda. Sounds nefarious.
Because it is.
Yeah, it's just no.
They sound like a table of supervillains talking.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Dr. Evil.
Yeah. It certainly does. I mean, mainly just because it's all about hiding it, right? She's talking about putting it in the background. And, that's something that too, I've always thought was interesting because, they do that a lot and they bring it up and they make it's such a big deal. And I always wonder, I'm like, if you're, very proud or you want to make this bigger, it's well, why isn't this more front and center? Why is it always such a minor thing, something in the background? But I guess at the same time, if you introduce it all subtly, then it becomes more normal and normal.
And it's also something that the parents may not notice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're a young kid sitting and watching the thing and you have your kids there watching and you're watching tacitly and the kid's watching intently, they'll notice what's in the background.
Well, the kids also watch it 500 times over the course of a week. They don't just watch it once and then they're done.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was me. Sorry.
I mean, that just puts me to this thing. If I had a kid right now, I'd be screening everything, no matter what. There's nothing I would consider safe.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just why can't you just focus on just,
Good,
basic.
wholesome family fun.
Yeah, because to me, again, why can't that be for everybody? And the reason too, kind of my comment on all this is, kids are only kids for a short time. They've got their whole lives to be an adult, and this push to make children grow up and talk about things that are really for grown-ups. It is 2022. There are gay people. Neighborhood I live in, we've got a Facebook group. The guys who put it together, it's a gay couple. Who cares?
I'm just wondering do you think these people are tacitly or whatever it is still looking for the approval of someone?
Yes.
All of this is all all psychological of I need to have approval because maybe this parent didn't approve of it or this person didn't approve of it. And it's if I get mass approval, then it's trying to fill that.
You'll never going to
emptiness.
be enough, it's.
Well, but the other thing to an extent though, I'll give you an example. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen Pete the Cat before. It's on Amazon.
You know about it. I
Is
never.
that Felix the Cat?
Pete the Cat. It's a book series, but the animated, at least, was executive produced by, who played Sheldon on Big Bang Theory? I can't think of his name.
I don't know.
I know you're talking about
Jim Parsons. And Jim Parsons is gay, but in Pete the Cat, there's a character that's got two dads, and it's always just I got two dads, but they don't ever really make a big deal about it. And I also don't think it's necessarily subtle, but right, if there's kids out there that might have same-sex parents, right, here's something for them. But it's not the focus of the show, and it's not, in my opinion, something necessarily nefarious. But yeah, with a lot of what they're doing with it, it does seem like they're trying to be subtle and hide it. And this push to, again, just talk to kids about things that were never discussed about. We're hearing teachers complain. They're upset that they can't talk to, the kindergarten class about them and their partner. And I'll be honest, most of my teachers, I did not know a whole lot about their personal life. There would be little times they might tell us, if we all were gone for break, and she'd be like, hey, teacher would be like, what did you guys do? And she'd be like, my family, we went here, we did this.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of about it. And that's
I was invited to one second grade teacher's wedding. So that was a weird thing. The whole class was there for the wedding. But that was the person moved to be a teacher. They didn't really build up a whole family base. So it was kind of it was to fill in the. But besides that, I think one other teacher got pregnant. We knew that. But after that, there's no me and Sandy went on a date. We went to the movies.
Again, the bill too. There's nothing that says that they can't say anything, because a lot of them, they're like, well, I have pictures of my partner and this and that. It's well, you can have that.
Yeah.
And they talk about
nothing against the lifestyle. It's just about teaching.
And if a kid gets into that too, especially if they're very young, why can't you go? You know what? We'll talk.
Maybe talk about
why do you have a partner? But why don't you go? Okay, you know what? We'll talk about that when your mom or dad, whoever comes to pick you up, and then with the parent there, you can go, hey, they asked about my partner, and before I kind of explained it to them, I thought I'd let you know, and maybe you might want to explain to them what that means before I did, and allow the parent that chance to talk to them about that.
But we've seen this in the past year with the Zoom teaching and all that. Why are teachers so afraid of parents knowing what's going on in the classroom? That seems to be a big I don't my parents when I was in school knew everything going on, every bad thing I did, every time I didn't do homework, they knew. So I don't understand how that's not the case anymore.
Yeah. That's definitely an alarming thing too. We've for the past 2.5 years now, my son has done virtual, and we've been fortunate that the teachers have ever done anything like that. We're also one of us is always within an earshot where we can hear. Mm-hmm. Especially this year, he's got a really great teacher who always gives constant updates, and there's been a few times where he's either missed something on his work that he had to finish up on, but like lets us know too. So yeah, we've been lucky in that fact, but it's definitely, it seems like it is though more of the older kids that have the teachers that do a little bit more of the, let's not tell your parents this stuff. But no, just for me, that's the crazy thing is just why the push to make the kids grow up so fast and not let them be kids. They got their whole lives to be adults. Again, Nadine's a parent like I am. I feel like that's the one thing I want more in the world for my child is I just want him to be a kid as long as he can be and enjoy that part of his life, before he has to grow up and be an adult.
Definitely. And especially if you're in the position that you can actually give that to them, because, some of us didn't grow up in the best families and some of us did have to grow up faster than we were supposed to. Like, yeah. So it's kind of like, you want to protect that for them because it makes you who you are, sure, but it's not a good place to be in. Enjoy your life.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of kids out there that will one day realize, especially once they've grown up, that they didn't have an actual childhood.
Yep.
And it is unfortunate. Well, we did go a little over, I know, the typical time here. But this was really, really good. I'm glad we had Tom here. It was a pleasure to host with you, Nadine.
Yes, thank you both for being here. I appreciate it. I think we did a good job.
Yeah. Hopefully I will get invited back to fill in next time Ryan is gone, or might have to fill in for Nadine one day if you're not able to be here for Ryan. So, cool. But yeah, thank you guys, and had a great time. Thank you for everybody in the chat. Appreciate you all stopping by.
We do.
Does anybody have anything going on they would like to share at all with their own channels that are upcoming?
I'll have a live stream Wednesday, I think, from Hollywood Studios again. I think. Depends. Verizon's been very glitchy lately, so but besides that, no. Just whenever I post stuff. I have no set things.
Nadine, for your channel, you got anything going on?
I usually decide like that day. I'm not good at planning ahead of time. So like yesterday I was like, I did my makeup before work, and so I just showed products and stuff. And I don't want to do, definitely will do makeup this week because I don't want to do like the same thing 2 weeks in a row. I know I was talking to people yesterday and they were like about like the perfumes, and I said I'll go through them and like talk about them. So I think that'd be cool. I don't want to do like 2 of the same thing in a row. So see what happens on Thursday.
I can never remember it. I'm looking something up real quick. I was going to mention to you, Nadine. So I'm part of the Red 5 Network, which is it's now, I think we're up to like 37 podcasts and channels all together on this network. And one of our new channels that joined shortly after I did is called Comics and Cosmetics. The gal who runs it, Danny, she's really nice. But yeah, what she does is she talks about comic books and she does makeup. And she's actually going to be on our show this Monday. We're doing a trivia night. Again, we try to do a trivia or a game night once a month. So we're going to be doing decades. So we're going to be have questions that cover from 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. And we're going to have JT, who is in the chat, is going to be playing along with some other fellow Red Fivers. We've got Shanti from Scarif, Danny, who has her own channel, Comics and Customs, and then we're going to have Nicole, who is part of Rogue One Radio. So hopefully I will see you guys in the chat, and anybody who watches this over there on Monday. Nadine, hopefully you can watch, but that might be a channel worth checking out.
Definitely.
Danny's always talking makeup stuff, and it always makes me think of you. So, okay. Well, with that, we will say goodbye. I don't see an outro from Ryan, so I think he just ends it. So if I'm missing something, Ryan, I apologize, but we are just going to call it quits here. So everybody, have a good night.
Good
Bye.
night.